Hi guys, Happy New Year. So can you believe that we are into 2022 already? I'm mind blown. I know I disappeared somewhere around early to mid-December, but I have three kids and it was preparing for Christmas and working overtime for all of those much wanted gifts. My son had finals, my other son had a birthday, like so many things happened. And then, of course, was the holidays. And somewhere between Christmas and New Year's is like a blur. Like, I don't even know if I existed in that time. I don't think I ever took pajamas off during that time. So, but I am back. And I really want this to be a great year, both for all of us in our personal lives and our professional lives, health wise, but also for the channel, and really start to devote more time to it, because when I'm active and I'm actually on, it seems pretty successful, but I do this weird thing where I just like vanish for periods of time. I do that in my I do that in my real life too. I'm either like all in, or people are like doing well checks on me because I just I don't know. I just go away into my own space and I just vanish. So hopefully I'll stay on track. I do want to kind of recap going into this new year. Two really important cases that are lingering from last year. And that, of course, is the Summer Wells case and also the Michael Vaughn case. And I never really touched on the Michael Vaughn case, I think because I was so into the Summer Wells thing. And I think that happened to a lot of people, which is really sad, for both Michael Vaughn and for his family. Some things never change in the new year, because that is my cat, who in every video that I've ever made since the beginning of my channel, one of them just shows up and does weird things while I'm filming. So I'm sorry that everything is shaking. It's like actually my cat. So Michael Vaughn, why didn't he get the same publicity as Summer Wells? I've really pondered this because I'm guilty of it too. So, I really had to think about that. I don't know if we were so overwhelmed with the Summer Wells case that we just couldn't, we just didn't have it in us to be with another missing child's case, because it's draining. Like, you get really personally and emotionally involved in these cases. And maybe it was just mentally too much for a lot of us. But, that sucks for poor Michael because he's still missing, and for his family. Now, there are Facebook groups dedicated to his case, just like, Summer Wells and a whole bunch of other missing people. But he definitely did not get the same amount of publicity. Also the Gabby thing was happening at that time. So I think he just got kind of, I don't want to say pushed to the side, but in some ways, I think that did happen. So July 27th, this little 5-year-old boy is at home. He's wearing a little Minecraft shirt. He's in his little boxers. He's just hanging out. And I've read he was watching TV. I've also read he was actually playing Minecraft. But whatever he's doing, he's in the living room. And his dad, Tyler, leaves the room, allegedly, to go change the diaper of the baby sister and to order some pizza for dinner because Mom Brandy is at work. When he comes out of the room, which he says is about 15-20 minutes later, the child is missing. So immediately he's looking for him, and neighbors said that they did see this child going door to door. Now, about that, a lot of people were not very kind to the parents online. And that's, that happens. That happens. We do typically tear the parents apart. I don't know. I think we're just like looking for some kind of fault, some kind of rational explanation for how a child goes missing. But I want to tell you, see, what happened was some of the neighbors said that this child had frequently got out, wandered around, knocked on doors, asking for kids to play. And the parents went through a lot for that. But I want to say this in defense of them. And I don't know if they're guilty or innocent, but let me just say this. One, Fruitland, Idaho is a very rural area. And I think you do see a little bit more leniency with kids in very rural areas. People tend to kind of just know each other. Not a lot goes on. I literally live in the middle of nowhere. Like, out that window, there's like nothing. There's like cows over there. There's cows over there. There's a few neighbors. And I have a son now who's 5. So we bought this house 2 years ago. The first night that I moved in here, I go to sleep, whatever, we're exhausted from unpacking. I wake up in the morning to a neighbor who lives like behind me. And behind me means you have to go like down this little road and whatever. She's down there. She's knocking at my back door. And when I woke up, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I woke up to the sound of her banging. I opened the door. I've never seen this woman before, but she's standing there with my dog and my son. And she's like, do they belong to you? Yes. Now, when we moved here, the fencing that lined our property was, I don't know if you'll know what I mean, but it was kind of like, I want to say maybe it's meant to like keep cattle in or something. So it's not like super tight spaces. It would be like here and then like here and then like here. So there'd be like gaps in it. Well, he like literally just crawled through it, and apparently, I don't know if he pulled the dog through it or the dog like over it, under it, through it. I don't know. But away they went to explore. And I would not have expected him to do that, but he did. And, luckily she found him, she brought him home, and I was really embarrassed. So had I woke up and that child was just missing and the neighbor hadn't happened at that moment to look out her window and see them, going by on their little adventure, I would be that parent. I would be that parent that everyone would be like, so you were asleep? And your 5-year-old, who, well, not even, he was like 3? He's almost 6. So he would have been just shy. Maybe he just turned 4. So can you imagine? I would have been that parent. I'm not a bad mom, like at all. I don't think. I would have been that mom that everyone had been like, so she was sleeping and her child's like wandering around in the acres in the middle of nowhere. So I'm going to cut them a little slack for that one because it can happen. And also, 5-year-old boys are like Houdinis. They're like Houdinis. If you have a 5-year-old boy, then you know that aside from like handcuffing them to like a table, they will find a way to do the most crazy things and to get into the most crazy situations. So, if dad was changing the baby and he's calling for pizza and he's doing all this, I can honestly see a 5-year-old boy being like, think I'll go for a walk. Think I'll go see if little Johnny can go play, even if that's like not allowed, and even if that's not something that, is a normal thing to do for him, because the neighbors said that they saw this child. And since that time, we're talking like 3,000 acres have been searched. They have drained canals. They have watched files upon files upon files of security footage. I'm talking about the police here, not the parents. I mean, they have done it all, and there is no sign of this child. I really strongly believe that this child just vanished. He was abducted, or he wandered away, and out there somewhere in that rural area, he got himself into some kind of situation where they have just yet not to locate him. I really do think that might be the outcome for this child. But it is very sad that we are going into a new year, and this little boy, who the parents lovingly nicknamed Monkey, is yet to be found, dead or alive. Like, there's no closure for this family, and they still are under, the public scrutiny of whether or not they did something to him. But the police have not arrested anybody. They have not really focused on them, as far as at least that we can see publicly. And that brings me to Summer Wells, because it's the same situation. I mean, Summer Wells got all the publicity, okay? I mean, you had a whole group of like YouTubers went down there to do like their own investigation. You've had every person breathing in that area has either been part of the search or has been questioned. has been looked at closely. The police have done everything from what I can see. I mean, it is that area is a very rural place. And I mean, they have searched and they have searched. I mean, here recently, they had another big search for areas that were a little bit more inaccessible, back in June when she went missing. And, they've searched again, and everybody kind of thought that was like a break in the case, but the police had said, no, like this was scheduled because there was some areas that we just really couldn't get to back in June. So, they have searched and searched. I mean, this child has been at the forefront of hundreds of YouTube videos, online groups. If there was a tip, if there was anything, it has been looked into. And as much as we collectively, not everybody, but a huge group of the public have kind of just not been able to be team mom and dad. I mean, we just haven't been kind to them. We haven't been able to be softened to them. It's not looking necessarily like they are even suspects. And of all the things that I have said, if you go back to my videos, I mean, there's even like comments of like warning me to stop bullying the father, which I don't think I ever bullied him. I think I just had opinions, but I'm starting to think they might have nothing to do with it. They may have failed in many, many, many ways, but like I'm starting to doubt my own feelings of their guilt. And I don't think that I ever felt like they maliciously did anything to them. There's a ton of people that believe that, they actually did something to them, whether it was a trafficking thing, whether it was, child. I don't think I'm supposed to say that. I always thought it might be an accident that was covered up. That's and an accident in terms of neglect. So, there would still be fault there. But I don't know. I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I'm starting to wonder if this child really just wandered off. Or I'm starting to actually think like, what about that guy, Jackie Dobbs, that was next door? I ruled him out in my mind a long time ago, but now like I'm second guessing that. Or did this kid, just like Michael Vaughn, which I'm not saying Michael Vaughn did, I mean, he could have been abducted, but I'm saying, did both of these kids just literally wander off in these very rural areas where they could potentially just not be found just because of the location? I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it crazy that I'm starting to think that? I mean, I have been so emotionally invested in this Summer Wells case for so long. Now, I did for most of this past month, I had to like put it on a shelf and mentally just not be in it because I really needed to focus on like my real life stuff. And it was like actually starting to take away from that because I was obsessing over it. But now that I'm revisiting it and I'm coming back with like a more of a clear head because I've had some time away from it, I'm starting to wonder. I mean, let's face it. The police don't seem to be overly focusing on them. Dr. Phil pretty much came right out and said he didn't think that they did it. Not that like Dr. Phil's necessarily like an expert, but I don't know. He's pretty good at reading people. That little team there that reads body language, they thought that she may have some knowledge of something, but maybe like some guilty knowledge, but not necessarily that she did anything. And they thought that Dawn knew nothing. But I wonder if the guilty knowledge sort of thing is just more like, if the kid really did just wander off, maybe it's like she just feels guilty or feels like it's her fault because like she wasn't watching her, you know? And I think she lied about the amount of time that the child was out of her sight. I 1000% think that she lied about that. I think that nothing about this woman makes me believe that she was planting with this kid and walked her across the yard and then went over there like 4 minutes later, you know, what's Sissy doing? No. Okay, again, I don't think that I'm like mother of the year, but I think I'm like a pretty good mom. And on my property, we have a small, one of those tiny houses in the back, and a family member lives out there. And my property's like 2 acres-ish, right? My 5-year-old runs back and forth from my house to her house all the time. I've never walked him over there. I've never walked him over there because it's within my own property. I mean, I've never walked him over there. So, and I'm not a helicopter mom, but by gosh, I'm pretty sure that I watch him more than Candace watched her kids. And if I was outside, because we have a lot of animals and stuff out there, if I was outside tending to the animals and he came in the house, yes, because he could get into things. If he was gone like an excessive amount of time, I would pop in the house to be like, hey, what are you doing? Because knowing him, he would be like, I don't know, in the kitchen cabinet, like taking everything out and trying to make like a concoction or doing whatever. But I certainly wouldn't, if I was outside tending to the animals and he wanted to go in the house to play, I would not be running in within 4 minutes. Like, Marshall, where are you? Like, I wouldn't. And I don't believe that she did either. I don't believe that she ran in after a 5-year-old to see what she was doing within 4 minutes. So I wonder, but then again, if something happened to my kid or he actually ran off or, you know, was abducted or ran away or did whatever, then I bet you that would eat me alive. The fact that I didn't. Right? And if I was questioned, like, well, how long was he out of your sight? Like, did she panic? Did she not want to say like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, like whatever? Did she panic and be like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is that she said? So is that what they're getting from her? Like when they're getting that whole like, you know, vibe, guilty knowledge, something's amiss with Candace, but not that she did anything? Is it just because she knows she lied about the timing? Or like she feels guilty because she wasn't watching her better? Or, you know, something, anything, whatever. So that's where we're at right now. These 2 kids are still missing. Parents don't seem to be suspects at the moment. That, of course, could change. My mind is literally, I don't know, maybe flip-flopped, maybe just confused. I don't know, but I don't know where I am anymore with the Summer Wells thing. Did this child literally just wander away? Was she abducted or did the parents do it? I don't know. 2 months ago, I would have said they know something, they did something. Going into 2022, starting to think she was either abducted or she wandered away. I know. Total flip-flop. Little Michael Vaughn, little monkey. I think the kid wandered away. He could have been abducted. He absolutely could have been abducted. I don't know. I don't know. I just get this gut feeling that poor little thing was just like out looking for someone to play with, looking for an adventure, and might have found himself in some kind of trouble, and he just hasn't been located. But I don't know. I mean, they have searched and searched and searched. So if he was abducted, that was pretty crazy timing, because it would have had to be at the exact moment that he just happened to wander around, that some nut job came by that wanted to abduct a child. And that could happen, but I don't know. So that's where we're at. Up in the air. Have any of you guys changed your mind since we last saw each other with the Summer Wells thing? Are you still thinking the parents did it? Are you still thinking that she was abducted? Has your thoughts changed at all? And little Michael Vaughn, have you been watching the case? What are your thoughts on it? Because we never really talked about that one. So I will see you guys soon. I just want to pop in and say hello and kind of touch base with those cases and wish everybody a happy new year. And I will see you soon. Okay? Bye.